The mission briefing. In a galaxy far from Earth, there was a small planet called Sandor. On this planet lived a group of aliens known as the Vorans. They had smooth blue skin, big eyes, and long, thin limbs. The Vorans were known for their intelligence and curiosity. One day, their leader, Commander Zarek, called a meeting in the grand hall of their spaceship. The hall was large, with walls that glowed softly, creating a calm atmosphere. The Vorans gathered, chattering excitedly as they wondered what the mission would be. Zarek stood tall at the front, his eyes shining with determination. He looked at his crew and began to speak. "Thank you all for coming. Today, I am excited to share our next mission. We have received reports about a legendary weapon called Human. It is said to be a powerful force capable of defeating any enemy." The Vorans listened carefully. They had heard stories of the mysterious humans who lived on a blue and green planet called Earth. Some tales spoke of their strength and bravery, while others mentioned their kindness and creativity. But no one knew the truth. Zarek continued, "Our mission is to travel to Earth and find this weapon. We need to learn what makes humans so powerful and why they are feared by many in the galaxy." He paused, allowing the words to sink in. "We will explore their world and gather information about these remarkable beings." Excitement buzzed in the room. Vorans exchanged glances, each thinking of the adventures that awaited them. One of the crew members, a young Voran named Lyra, raised her hand. "Commander, what should we expect when we arrive on Earth? Are they friendly?" Zarek nodded. "That is a good question, Lyra. We do not know if humans will welcome us. They might be curious, or they could be afraid of us. We must approach them with caution and respect. Our goal is to learn, not to fight." The crew murmured in agreement. They all knew the importance of this mission. Another crew member, a strong Voran named Rax, added, "What if they try to attack us? We should be prepared to defend ourselves." Zarek smiled at Rax, appreciating his concern. "Yes, we must be ready for any situation. However, we will not initiate any conflict. Our strength lies in our ability to understand and communicate. If we treat humans with respect, they are more likely to respond positively." The Vorans nodded, feeling encouraged by Zarek's words. They began discussing how they would prepare for the journey. The ship was equipped with advanced technology, but it would take more than machines to succeed. The Vorans needed to work together as a team and rely on each other's strengths. Zarek continued, "We will spend the next few days preparing our ship and studying Earth from a distance. We need to understand their environment, culture, and behavior before we make contact. We will gather data on their technology, their history, and their relationships with one another." Lyra, filled with excitement, asked, "How will we know when it is safe to approach them?" Zarek thought for a moment. "We will use our ship's sensors to observe their activities. If we see groups of humans gathering peacefully, it will be a good sign. But if we notice signs of fear or aggression, we will hold back." The crew nodded, understanding the importance of patience. They were explorers, not conquerors. Zarek continued, "Once we make contact, we will bring gifts as a sign of goodwill. We want to show them that we come in peace. Let's think about what we can offer them." Rax suggested, "We could share knowledge from our planet. We have advanced technology that could benefit them." "That is a great idea," Zarek agreed. "But let's also bring something simple and heartfelt. Perhaps food or small tokens that represent our culture. We want to make a connection, not overwhelm them." The Vorans began brainstorming ideas. They shared their favorite foods, unique items from their planet, and stories that represented their history. Lyra suggested a colorful crystal that sparkled like the stars. "This represents our hope and friendship," she said. "It will show them that we come with good intentions." As the discussion continued, the room filled with energy and enthusiasm. Each crew member felt a sense of purpose. They were about to embark on a journey that could change their understanding of the galaxy forever. Finally, Zarek clapped his hands to gather everyone's attention. "Let us remember, We are not just seeking the weapon called human. We are on a journey to understand a new species. This mission is about building bridges and forming connections. If we succeed, it may lead to a new alliance between our people and theirs." The crew cheered, their spirits lifted. They were ready to take on the challenge. Over the next few days, they worked diligently, preparing the ship and studying all they could about Earth. As they packed their gifts and checked their equipment, the excitement grew. The day of departure arrived, and the Vorons gathered on the launch pad. The ship stood tall and gleaming, ready to take them across the stars. Zarek looked at his crew, his heart swelling with pride. "Together, we will make history. Let's go find the ancient weapon known as human." With a roar of engines, the ship lifted off, breaking free from Xander's atmosphere. As they soared into the vastness of space, the Vorons looked back at their home planet, filled with hope for what lay ahead. They were on a mission to discover the truth about humanity, and they could not wait to see what awaited them on Earth. The journey to Earth. As the Voron ship sped through the starry expanse, excitement and anticipation filled the air. The crew members were busy with their tasks, checking systems, and preparing for the unknown. Commander Zarek moved among them, offering encouragement and guidance. He could feel the energy buzzing in the ship, and he knew that this mission could change everything for their kind. The journey to Earth was not long in terms of distance, but it felt endless for the Vorons. They had never traveled beyond their own planet before, and everything outside their ship was new and mesmerizing. Lyra, the young Voron, stared out of the large viewing window, watching stars twinkle like tiny gems. The vastness of space was both beautiful and intimidating. "Look at that," Lyra exclaimed, pointing to a cluster of glowing nebulae. "It's like a painting." Rax, who was busy working at a control panel, glanced up. "Focus, Lyra. We have to prepare for landing. We need to be ready for anything." "But Rax, look at how amazing it is. We are about to meet humans," she replied, her eyes sparkling with wonder. Zarek smiled at their banter. "It is indeed amazing. But remember, the real adventure starts when we reach Earth. Let's keep our focus on the mission." The crew settled into a routine. They studied data collected from their sensors about Earth, learning about its climate, geography, and the creatures that lived there. They discovered that Earth was a planet of contrasts, filled with vast oceans, towering mountains, and sprawling cities. Each member of the crew took turns sharing what they had learned, sparking discussions about human culture and behavior. As they neared Earth, Zarek gathered everyone for a final briefing. "We are about to enter Earth's atmosphere. I want everyone to be alert and prepared for our landing. Remember our goals: observe, communicate, and understand. This is not a military mission. We are here to make friends." The crew nodded, their excitement palpable. They knew the importance of this moment. As they descended, the ship shook slightly, and Lyra held her breath. They were approaching the surface, and she could see colors and shapes becoming clearer. Fields of green, blue oceans, and patches of white clouds filled the window. "Prepare for landing," Zarek commanded, his voice steady. The crew quickly took their positions, ready to follow his instructions. The ship touched down gently on a grassy hill surrounded by trees. Zarek activated the landing gear and smiled. "We made it. Welcome to Earth." The Vorons stepped outside, their eyes wide with wonder. The air was fresh and filled with the scent of flowers. Birds chirped in the distance, and the sun shone brightly overhead. Lyra was the first to step off the ship, feeling the soft grass under her feet. "Wow, this is incredible," she exclaimed, spinning in delight. Rax, still cautious, kept a close eye on their surroundings. "Stay alert. We don't know what to expect here." Zarek led the crew a little away from the ship, where they could see a small village in the distance. "Let's head toward that village. We might find humans there. Remember to stay calm and friendly." As they walked, they marveled at the beauty of the Earth. Colorful flowers bloomed everywhere, and trees swayed gently in the breeze. Lyra reached down to touch a flower, feeling its soft petals. "Everything is so alive here," she said, smiling. Soon, they reached the edge of the village. It was quiet, and the Vorons could hear laughter and voices in the distance. Zarek signaled for the crew to stop and gather around. "Before we approach, let's review our plan. We will introduce ourselves and offer our gifts. Lyra, you will present the crystal. Rax, be ready to explain our mission if needed." Lyra nodded, clutching the crystal tightly in her hand. It sparkled in the sunlight, reflecting rainbow colors. "I'll do my best, Commander." As they stepped into the village, they noticed the humans. They were tall and varied in appearance, with skin colors that ranged from light to dark. Some humans wore colorful clothing, while others wore simple garments. The Vorons watched as children played and adults chatted in small groups. Suddenly, a young human girl spotted them and gasped, "Mom, look, what are those?" she shouted, pointing at the Vorons. The village fell silent. All eyes turned to the newcomers. The Vorons felt a wave of anxiety wash over them, but Zarek stood tall. "Remember our mission," he whispered to the crew. The humans exchanged curious glances, some stepping back, while others moved closer, intrigued by the unusual visitors. Zarek took a deep breath, stepped forward, and raised his hands in a gesture of peace. "We come in peace," he called out in a strong voice. "We are explorers from the planet Sandor." The humans looked at one another, surprised. A brave woman stepped forward, her eyes wide. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice steady but cautious. Zarek smiled, feeling relieved that someone was willing to talk. "We have traveled across the stars to learn about your world and to understand your people. We have brought gifts to show our goodwill." Lyra stepped forward, holding out the crystal. "This is a symbol of our friendship," she said, her voice clear. "We hope to learn from you and share our knowledge." The human woman hesitated, but then took the crystal carefully, examining it. "It's beautiful. What do you want to learn about us?" Zarek smiled, feeling hopeful. "We want to understand your culture, your stories, and why you are so powerful. We believe that we can learn much from each other." The villagers began to relax, their curiosity overcoming their initial fear. Lyra felt a surge of joy as she saw the woman smile. Perhaps this was the beginning of a great friendship between their worlds. As they continued to talk, Zarek felt a sense of accomplishment. The Vorons had arrived on Earth, and their mission to connect with humanity had just begun. They were no longer strangers in a foreign land. They were explorers, ready to uncover the secrets of a world full of life and potential. The first encounter. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the village as the Vorons stood before the humans. The atmosphere was filled with a mix of curiosity and uncertainty. Zarek, the commander, took a step closer to the group, feeling the weight of their mission heavy on his shoulders. Lyra, the young Voron, stood beside him, her heart racing with excitement and nervousness. She had never imagined she would meet humans, let alone be part of this moment. The villagers were looking at them with wide eyes, and she could sense their curiosity and fear. "What do you want to know about us?" asked the woman who had taken the crystal. Her voice was steady, and Lyra admired her bravery. Zarek took a deep breath and replied, "We want to understand your culture, your history, and why you are often seen as a powerful force in the galaxy. We have heard tales of humans and their resilience. We believe there is much we can learn from you." A murmur spread through the crowd. Some villagers whispered to one another, while others exchanged glances filled with skepticism. Zarek noticed the tension in the air and knew he had to earn their trust. "Please, let us share our stories," he continued, trying to be as open and inviting as possible. "We come in peace, seeking knowledge and friendship. We wish to show you who we are." The woman nodded slowly, glancing back at the villagers. "I am Maya," she said, "and this is my village. You are the first aliens we have ever seen. It is hard to trust strangers." "I understand," Zarek replied, "but we hope that through sharing our experiences, we can build a connection. You have nothing to fear from us." Maya considered his words, then motioned for the villagers to gather closer. "All right, we will listen. Share your stories, and we will share ours." As the crowd formed a circle around the Vorons, Zarek felt a surge of hope. This was a chance to connect and learn. He began to share stories of Xandor, their home planet, where the skies were filled with colorful auroras and the land was rich with life. "On Xandor, we value knowledge and exploration," he explained. "We believe in understanding other cultures to grow stronger together. Our scientists have developed technologies to help our people thrive, but we still face challenges. That is why we are here, to learn from you." Lyra chimed in, her voice bright and enthusiastic. "And we want to know about your battles. How have you survived in a universe filled with dangers? What makes you so strong?" The villagers listened intently. Maya smiled, then began to share tales of their history, of how humans had fought against overwhelming odds and emerged victorious. She spoke of great wars and peace treaties, of communities banding together to face challenges. As Maya recounted a story about a time when humans united against a powerful enemy, Zarek could see the villagers' pride growing. They shared laughter and tears, feeling the weight of their shared experiences. The Vorons had come to learn, but they found themselves captivated by the strength of human resilience. "We have faced many challenges," Maya said, her eyes shining with determination. "But we have always risen to meet them. Together, we are strong. That is our greatest weapon." Lyra felt inspired by the stories. "Your courage is incredible," she exclaimed. "We have much to learn from you." As the sun dipped below the horizon, the conversation flowed easily. The Vorons and humans exchanged stories, laughter, and hopes for the future. The initial fear that had filled the air began to fade, replaced by curiosity and the possibility of friendship. Eventually, Maya suggested, "Perhaps you can stay with us for a while. We can show you our way of life, and you can teach us more about your technology." Zarek looked at his crew, who nodded in agreement. "We would be honored to learn from you," he replied, feeling a sense of unity forming between their peoples. As the night enveloped the village, the Vorons were invited to a gathering. The villagers lit a fire, and they all sat together, sharing food and stories under the stars. Lyra felt warmth in her heart as she looked around at the smiling faces. This was what they had come for: connection, understanding, and the promise of a brighter future. As they laughed and shared tales, Lyra realized that humanity was not just a subject of study. They were a people filled with dreams and stories, just like her own. The gathering continued late into the night, and Zarek felt a sense of peace wash over him. This mission was already proving fruitful, and he hoped they could strengthen their bond. They were no longer just explorers. They were friends on a journey together. As the stars twinkled above them, Lyra leaned over to Zarek and whispered, "I think this is the start of something amazing." Zarek smiled, feeling the truth in her words. The Vorons had found a new world, a new beginning, and perhaps a new alliance that could change the fate of their civilizations forever. Uncovering secrets. The sun rose over the village, painting the sky in vibrant hues of orange and pink. The Vorons and humans had spent the night sharing stories, and Lyra felt a sense of belonging she had never experienced before. Today, they would begin to explore the human way of life and discover the secrets behind their incredible resilience. As breakfast was served, a simple yet hearty meal of bread, fruits, and steaming tea, Lyra watched Maya interact with her fellow villagers. They moved about with a rhythm that spoke of deep-rooted traditions and bonds forged through shared struggles. Lyra couldn't help but admire their strength. After breakfast, Maya gathered the villagers. "Today, we will show our guests how we live," she announced. Excitement buzzed through the air, and Lyra felt her own anticipation grow. Maya led the group through the village, pointing out various areas of significance. "Here is our school," she said, gesturing to a modest building filled with children learning. We teach the young about our history, our values, and the importance of working together. Zarek observed the children, their eyes bright with curiosity. Education is vital for growth, he remarked. On Xandor, we also place great importance on teaching our youth. Maya nodded. Knowledge is our most powerful tool. It helps us understand each other and the world around us. As they continued, they arrived at the village square, where a large tree stood at the center. This is our council tree, Maya explained. Important decisions are made here. We gather to discuss our challenges and how to face them together. The Vorans stood in awe of the tree's grandeur, its gnarled branches stretching towards the sky, as if holding up the world. Lyra felt a connection to it. It reminded her of the ancient trees back on Xandor, which were symbols of unity and strength. Maya gestured for everyone to sit beneath the tree. Let us share our challenges. Together, we can brainstorm solutions. Zarek took the opportunity to share the challenges faced on Xandor, from natural disasters to the constant threat of hostile species. We have learned that communication is key. By discussing our issues openly, we can find ways to overcome them. One of the villagers, an older man named Jarek, spoke up. We face challenges as well. Our land is rich, but the climate is changing. We are unsure how to adapt. Maya nodded, her brow furrowed in concern. Yes, we need to find a way to protect our crops and our people. Lyra suggested, perhaps we can share knowledge about technology that helps conserve resources. We have developed methods to manage water and energy efficiently on Xandor. The villagers listened closely, intrigued by Lyra's idea. The conversation blossomed into a vibrant exchange of ideas. As they shared strategies and solutions, the air grew thick with determination. After hours of discussion, Maya smiled at the Vorans. Thank you for your insights. It is refreshing to see our problems from a different perspective. Together, we can find a way to adapt. Feeling inspired, Zarek asked, what other aspects of your culture should we learn about? Your stories have already captivated us. Maya's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. We have many traditions. Let's share our music and dance. It is a way for us to celebrate our victories and remember our past. The villagers eagerly agreed, and soon, a small gathering formed near the council tree. Lyra watched as Maya began to sing, her voice rich and melodic. The villagers joined in, their harmonies weaving together in a tapestry of sound that resonated through the air. Lyra felt the rhythm pulsing within her. She joined in, her heart full. The Vorans had come to learn, but they were also here to connect, to embrace the beauty of humanity. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a golden glow over the village, they began to dance. Lyra felt the energy of the music wrap around her. She smiled, finding herself lost in the movement. Zarek joined her, his laughter mingling with the music. In that moment, all fears and uncertainties faded away. They were no longer just explorers and villagers. They were friends, united by shared experiences and newfound understanding. After the dancing, they settled down beneath the council tree once again. Maya turned to the Vorans, a gleam of hope in her eyes. We have much to learn from each other. If we share our strengths, we can face whatever challenges come our way. Zarek nodded in agreement. This bond will make us stronger. Together, we can become a force for peace and understanding in the galaxy. As night fell, the stars twinkled overhead, and Lyra felt a warmth in her heart. They had come to uncover the secrets of humanity, but instead, they found a connection that transcended the stars. The night grew deeper, and stories continued to flow around the fire, illuminating faces filled with laughter and hope. Lyra realized that they were all part of a much larger story, a story that would change their lives forever. Together, they could forge a future where knowledge, understanding, and friendship reigned supreme. The unlikely alliance. The sun rose the next morning, casting a warm glow over the village. The sounds of laughter and music still echoed in Lyra's mind from the night before. As she stretched and took a deep breath, She felt a sense of belonging. The Vorons and humans were beginning to understand each other, and it filled her with hope. Maya had arranged for a day of hands-on learning. After breakfast, the villagers gathered at the central square, where a large map of the surrounding areas was laid out. Today, we will plan a joint expedition to explore the nearby forest, Maya announced, her voice steady and filled with excitement. We will look for resources that can help both our people. Zarek nodded, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Exploration is a vital part of discovery. We can learn a lot from the forest and how your people interact with it. Maya smiled at him, appreciating the Voron's eagerness. We'll split into groups, she suggested. Each group will focus on a specific task. Let's find edible plants, medicinal herbs, and materials for building. The villagers broke into groups, and Lyra found herself with Maya and several others. They set off into the forest, the trees towering above them like ancient guardians. Lyra marveled at the rich scents of the earth, the greenery enveloping her like a comforting blanket. As they walked, Maya shared stories about the forest. This land has provided for us for generations, she said. We learn to respect it and take only what we need. Lyra listened intently, absorbing every word. She realized how vital it was to understand the land and its resources. On Xandor, we have a similar belief. We only take what we can replenish, she replied. Our survival depends on the health of our environment. Maya nodded, her eyes shining with respect. You see, our cultures have much in common. After hours of exploration, they gathered around a clearing, surrounded by the lush greenery of the forest. Maya and Lyra knelt down to examine some plants. This one is used for healing wounds, Maya explained, pointing to a small flowering plant with delicate petals. And this one can be used in cooking. Zarek joined them, holding a plant he had just discovered. What about this? Is it useful? Maya examined it closely. Yes, this is a rare herb that can enhance the flavor of our meals. It's also good for digestion. Excited, Lyra leaned in to get a better look. Let's collect some. It will be great to take back with us and share with our people. With teamwork, they gathered various plants, each member of the group contributing their knowledge and skills. They filled their bags with an array of herbs and roots, each more fascinating than the last. Lyra felt a sense of camaraderie growing among them, a bond that was becoming stronger with each shared experience. As they made their way back, Lyra spotted a large tree with intricate carvings. "What's this?" she asked, her curiosity piqued. Maya approached the tree, her expression turning serious. "This is our heritage tree. It tells the story of our people. Each carving represents a significant event in our history." Zarek stepped closer, examining the carvings. "It's beautiful. We also have stories carved in stone on Xandor, telling of our ancestors and their struggles." Maya smiled at him. "Would you like to hear our story?" Lyra nodded eagerly. "Yes, please." Maya began to recount the tale of their ancestors, how they had united to protect their land from invading forces. "Our people stood together, refusing to back down, even when the odds were against us. It taught us the importance of unity and courage." The Vorons listened closely, captivated by the story. Zarek shared tales from Xandor, speaking of the challenges they faced and how they emerged stronger together. By the time they returned to the village, the sun was beginning to set, casting a golden hue across the landscape. The villagers gathered in the square, and Maya announced, "Tonight, we will share a feast to celebrate our discoveries." Excitement filled the air as they prepared the meal together. The Vorons and villagers worked side by side, cooking the harvested plants and telling stories of their respective cultures. Lyra marveled at how the atmosphere was filled with laughter and joy. As they sat down to eat, Lyra felt a sense of fulfillment wash over her. They had come together, sharing food and stories, building an alliance that transcended their differences. Zarek raised his glass. "To our newfound friendship," he exclaimed, his voice filled with warmth. Everyone echoed his sentiment. their glasses clinking together. As they feasted, Lyra felt a strong connection forming, a sense that they were part of something much greater than themselves. As the night wore on, Lyra couldn't shake the feeling that this alliance was destined for greatness. They had found strength in each other, and together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. The journey to discover humanity's resilience had only just begun, and Lyra felt ready to embrace the adventure. With her heart full, she gazed at the stars above, knowing they were not alone in the universe. Together, they would stand against any threat, united by hope and friendship. Shadows of War. The sun rose the next morning, but the vibrant colors of dawn were overshadowed by a growing sense of unease. Lyra awoke to the sound of hushed voices outside her window. As she dressed, her heart raced with anticipation. Something felt different today, and she sensed that a storm was brewing on the horizon. After breakfast, the villagers gathered again in the central square. Maya stood at the forefront, her expression serious. "We need to talk about what we've learned and prepare for the future," she began, her voice steady yet filled with concern. "While our alliance has grown strong, we cannot ignore the looming threat that hangs over us." Lyra exchanged worried glances with Zarek and the other Vorons. "What do you mean?" Zarek asked, his brow furrowed. Maya took a deep breath before continuing. "The scouts reported seeing movement near the borders of our territories. There are signs that a hostile group may be planning to attack us. We must prepare ourselves." The villagers murmured, their faces a mixture of fear and determination. Lyra could feel her heart pounding in her chest. "What can we do to protect our people?" she asked, stepping forward. Maya's gaze turned resolute. "We will strengthen our defenses and gather intelligence. We need to know what we are up against." Zarek nodded in agreement. "We should train together. We can teach each other our combat techniques and survival skills. Strength and unity will help us stand against any threat." With a plan set in motion, the villagers divided into groups. Some began fortifying the village, while others set out to gather more information about the potential enemy. Lyra joined Zarek and Maya as they prepared to train the others. As they moved to a clearing outside the village, Lyra felt a surge of determination. They would not let fear rule them. They had come together as allies, and they would fight to protect their homes. The training began with basic combat drills. Maya demonstrated their traditional fighting techniques, using wooden staffs to show the importance of teamwork and coordination. Lyra watched intently, absorbing every detail. When it was her turn, she grabbed a staff and practiced alongside Zarek, who showed her some Voron fighting moves. "Use your balance," he instructed, demonstrating a swift movement that showcased his agility. "The key is to be light on your feet and to anticipate your opponent's moves." Lyra nodded, her determination growing. She followed his lead, feeling more confident with each practice round. The other villagers joined in, laughter and encouragement echoing through the forest as they trained together. As the day progressed, Lyra couldn't help but notice the growing camaraderie among the villagers and the Vorons. They were no longer just allies. They were becoming friends, united by a common goal. Each member contributed their unique skills, blending their fighting styles and techniques into a cohesive unit. Later in the afternoon, they gathered around a large fire pit for a break. Lyra sat between Maya and Zarek, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames. The atmosphere was lighter, laughter filling the air as they shared stories of their past training and battles. But soon, the conversation turned serious again. "What do we know about our potential enemy?" Lyra asked, her curiosity piqued. Maya looked thoughtful. "They're a group of raiders known for ambushing unsuspecting villages. They have no regard for life and seek to claim resources for themselves." Zarek's eyes darkened. "We need to be ready. They won't hesitate to attack us if they see us as weak." Lyra felt a chill run down her spine. "What if they attack during the night? We need to be vigilant." Maya nodded, her expression resolute. "We'll take turns standing watch. Everyone must stay alert and be ready to defend our village." As night fell, The group began to set up defenses around the village. They erected makeshift barricades using fallen branches and stones. Lyra worked alongside her new friends, their hands moving quickly and efficiently as they prepared for the unknown. With the defenses in place, they gathered in the central square for a final meeting. "Remember," Maya said, her voice steady and commanding, "we stand together. We fight as one. And we protect our home." Everyone nodded, their faces a mix of fear and resolve. Lyra felt a surge of adrenaline, her heart pounding with the weight of what was to come. They were not just protecting their homes, they were safeguarding their future and the bonds they had formed. As the night deepened, Lyra took her place on watch duty, her heart racing with anticipation. The forest was quiet, the sounds of nocturnal creatures echoing in the stillness. She stood alongside Zarek, both of them scanning the darkness for any signs of danger. "Do you think they'll come?" Lyra asked quietly, trying to quell her nerves. Zarek looked thoughtful. "If they do, we'll be ready. We have each other, and that's what matters most." His words filled Lyra with a sense of hope. They were stronger together, united by their shared experiences and newfound friendship. Suddenly, a rustling sound broke the silence. Lyra's heart skipped a beat as she strained to listen. The noise grew louder, and she glanced at Zarek, who had tensed beside her. "Stay alert," he whispered, his eyes narrowed as he scanned the trees. Lyra's pulse quickened. Whatever was coming, they were ready to face it. Together, they would confront the shadows of war, united in their determination to protect their homes and each other. The alliance they had forged would be their greatest weapon, and they would fight with every ounce of strength they had. As the dark shapes emerged from the trees, Lyra steeled herself. They were not alone. They had each other, and they would stand strong against any threat. The clash of will. The night was silent, but the tension in the air was palpable. Lyra stood shoulder to shoulder with Zarek, her heart racing as the shadowy figures moved closer. The enemy had arrived, and she could see their fierce, determined faces illuminated by the moonlight. They had come for a fight, and Lyra was ready to defend her home. As the raiders approached, Lyra's senses heightened. She could hear the quiet whispers of her fellow villagers behind her, their fear mingling with determination. Maya stood at the front, her staff gripped tightly, her eyes fixed on the approaching threat. "Remember our training," Maya called out, her voice steady. "Stay in formation and don't let fear take hold." The raiders halted at the edge of the clearing, their numbers overwhelming. They wore dark clothing that blended into the shadows, and their eyes gleamed with malice. One of them stepped forward, a tall figure with a menacing grin. "You think you can stand against us?" he sneered. "You are nothing but weaklings, unprepared for the fight." Lyra clenched her fists, anger rising within her. "We are not weak. We have fought for our homes and our lives. We will not back down." The raider laughed, a cruel sound that echoed through the night. "You'll regret those words. Attack." With that command, the raiders surged forward, their battle cries filling the air. Lyra felt a rush of adrenaline as she raised her staff, ready to defend herself and her friends. The villagers and the Vorons formed a tight line, their unity shining in the face of danger. As the raiders clashed with their makeshift defenders, the sounds of battle erupted around them. Lyra struck out with her staff, her movements a mix of determination and fear. She fought alongside Zarek, who moved with agility and precision, his Voron training evident in every strike. "Keep your footing," he shouted, dodging a blow and countering with a swift attack. "Stay focused." Lyra nodded, her heart pounding as she fought. The raiders were fierce, but they were not invincible. With each strike, she felt more confident, her fear replaced by a fierce determination to protect her home and her friends. Maya fought beside them, her staff a blur as she took down one raider after another. "We can't let them break our lines," she yelled, rallying the villagers. "Stay together." The villagers responded with fierce resolve, pushing back against the raiders. They fought with everything they had, drawing strength from each other. Lyra could see the fear in the eyes of the raiders as they began to falter against the united front of the villagers and the Vorns. But the raiders were relentless. They regrouped and charged again, trying to overwhelm the defenders. Lyra could see the determination in their eyes as they fought, but she also noticed that fatigue was setting in. She felt her own strength waning as the battle dragged on. "Stay strong," Zarek urged, his voice filled with resolve. "We can't give up now." Just then, Lyra caught sight of a large raider pushing through the crowd, aiming for Maya. Panic surged through her as she realized Maya was focused on another opponent. Without thinking, Lyra raced forward, her staff raised high. "Watch out," she shouted, determination fueling her as she struck the large raider from the side. The raider stumbled, surprised by her sudden attack. Lyra's heart raced as she took advantage of the moment, using all her strength to push him away from Maya. "Lyra," Maya called, her voice a mix of surprise and gratitude. Lyra turned to see her friend's expression shift from fear to determination. Together, they faced the large raider, their combined strength overwhelming him. He faltered, and with a final blow, they sent him crashing to the ground. "Nice work," Maya said, a proud smile breaking through the chaos. "Now let's keep fighting." As the battle continued, Lyra felt a surge of energy from the support of her friends. They fought as a unit, covering each other's backs and moving in sync. With each victory, their spirits lifted, and the tide began to turn against the raiders. But just when it seemed they were gaining the upper hand, the leader of the raiders reappeared, furious and desperate. He charged at Maya, his eyes burning with rage. "You think you can defeat me?" he yelled, swinging a sword wildly. "Stay back," Lyra shouted, stepping in front of Maya. She could feel the fear creeping in, but she pushed it aside. "You will not harm her." The raider laughed, but there was a hint of uncertainty in his eyes. "You think you're brave? You're just a child." "Maybe," Lyra replied, her voice steady, "but I'm not afraid of you." With that declaration, she charged forward, her staff ready. The raider swung his sword, but Lyra ducked just in time. She swung her staff with all her might, connecting with his side. The impact startled him, and Lyra seized the moment. She followed through, pushing him back with a series of quick strikes. The raider stumbled, and Lyra saw her chance. With one final strike, she knocked the sword from his hand and sent him crashing to the ground. Panting heavily, she stood over him, heart racing. The raider glared up at her, but the fight had gone out of him. "This isn't over," he spat, but Lyra knew they had won this battle. Behind her, she heard cheers erupt from the villagers and the Vorns. They had fought together and stood strong against the enemy. They were no longer just a group of individuals. They were a united front, forged by their shared experiences and determination. As the battle came to an end, Lyra looked around at her friends. They were bruised and weary, but their spirits were high. They had faced a true threat and emerged victorious. Maya approached, a proud smile on her face. "You did well, Lyra. You showed great courage." Lyra felt a swell of pride at her words. "We did this together," she replied, glancing at Zarek and the others. "We fought as one." As they gathered in the center of the village, Lyra knew they had not only defended their home, but had also strengthened their bond. They had faced fear together and emerged stronger. The night sky shimmered with stars above them, a reminder of the vast universe they lived in. Together, they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. United in friendship, they were ready to embrace the future.